is the biggest project of this channel. I challenge other free producers to create a song using only this sample. An incredible thing is that they say yes. This sample is courtesy of Databroth, one of my favorite sound designers ever. I'm going to leave a link for his work in the description, which includes some free sample packs. The producers are Yuri Urano, Alckemy and Challange, and me. What we all have in common is that we use Bitwig as our main DAW, so part of the challenge is to only use Bitwig devices. So today you're going to see 4 different creative processes, and also you are going to react with us to the songs. So let's start.
Hey, what's up everybody? My name's Alckemy. I had the lovely pleasure of having a challenge to flip an obscure sample that sounds kind of like this. If you listen to the Tupperware on its own, you'll hear that there are a couple of things in this that already kind of allude to sounding like a kick. So it's not quite perfect, but if you take a listen. So what I did personally was I just took a pitch bend like this and created this because I think without this it sounds like this. But if you take really any sample and you pitch it down, so even if we were to do something like this, and this isn't going to sound the same of course, but something kind of like this, and we go here. I'm pretty sure this is what I took now that I listened to it, but if you listen to this, and instead of going down, or instead of going up, you go down and pitch this kind of like so. And let's say you bounce it, do it again. Next up, we've got some distortion, and really it's distortion. Like this stuff is so soft that in order for it to sound beefy, you really need to push it harder. It just works. And then we have some compression, some transient control, and some clipping. And that's how we got our kick. So that being said, when we get into the clap, I had to cheat just a little bit. Well, I technically didn't have to, but I wanted to help reinforce a transient. And anytime something just isn't working out, I just added a E clap at the end of this. But this still sounds pretty okay without this other stuff. But what I've done is I've offset a lot of these layers and pitched them up in different ways. So that one's at 0, that's 20, that's -8. But what you do is you offset the transients, and that gives you a smear for the clap. And then if I were to add the E clap at the end, then you can hear how it kind of has that really nice kind of smearing thing. So I usually break things into 2 layers, especially if something needs more high end. So for this, we have a vocoder that has 4 bands and 400%, followed by a distortion. And what's really interesting about this is that this is actually a great way to create a rim shot. My other favorite thing that I wanted to discuss in this is this little melody that I created, this do, 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 this thing right here. Yeah, it's super cool. And pretty much all I did was just take a piece of this and pitch it in such a way. Yeah, so I ran this through some reverb, and I have this thing that I do on everything whenever I'm trying to resample, which is the main thing. Which, let me find it, I think it's this one, where I will send this just through copious amounts of different effects, convolution reverb, filtering, ring mod, convolution delays, more reverbs, and all that other stuff. So there's little cool moments like this. It really adds a lot of texture to the beat. And speaking of, you'll notice that there's just this crazy rhythm on here that is like super off, but I just like it because, well, if I'm going to do a challenge, I'm going to have fun with it. But this little guy right here is just super pitched down with convolution reverb that creates this off kick. And I really like this because whenever I play this with the kick and the clap itself, like listen to the roll that it creates. Long story short, if you have a bar then no matter what you do within that bar, as long as you repeat it, then you can make the rhythm as messed up as you want. And so it can make stuff sound like it's picking up and slowing down. And there's definitely an art to it, and you have to feel it. But that's generally the synopsis about how I make kind of beats, or sorry, these kinds of beats roll like that. So the bass is very simple. It's an FM4 bass with saturator and an over, and all it is an 808. So for the rest of the stuff, I mean, I think that it's mostly just resampled moments. Like this guy right here are just some hits, I believe, from the entire thing that I took. I was like, oh, this moment's kind of cool. So I created a rhythm out of this that kind of helped. And it's just something that kind of like helps get the beat pushing. And you can kind of hear that for the most part, it's just well-timed placement of rhythms that kind of help give it that shuffle. So with that, I really appreciate Alex for inviting me to do this challenge. Thank you so much, and hopefully you all learned something. If you have any questions, then you can go to my channel or ask Alex, because he knows a lot of this stuff too. Thanks everybody. Have an awesome rest of your evening.
Oof. Industrial.
It sounds like human's voice, like core sounds.
Sounds like some horror movie shit.
This is Alckemy, yeah.
Oh, that's so sick.
It was happened beyond my expectation.
Nice, very nice. Ooh.
Minimal, but still super technical. I love it.
I like the grooves and ballerino percussion.
Oh, that's so sick. So groovy.
That ending was the icing on the cake.
Oh, fantastic sound design.
Kind of minimal in terms of the arrangement, but each sound is so in your face and aggressive, and just the arrangement is super technical. I love it. It's classic Alckemy.
Hello everyone, I'm Yuri Urano. Today I joined So Cool project by Alex. First, thank you for inviting me here, Alex. Now, let's get started. So first, we're gonna make pet sound. Let's add voice stack. It sounds like alien. And let's use random mode. We'll use voice stack spread to the start position. Okay, let's add some effects. So for techno, let's go up drum machine. Let's use my preset, this ambient E-drum. This preset included my package inside of Bitwig. Okay, I think it should be more boomy. Let's change wave shaper. Okay, now we will make bass sounds. We should detect the root key. I'm gonna grab Hurricane Shift Split. I think we will reduce higher parts. Let's add side chain. Okay, next we're gonna make riff. I think we can use this part. Yeah, let's add some effect. Yeah, let's add some pattern. I want another texture reverse. Let's sample one again. We don't need pitch. For texture, so we go to, of course, textures. Add some effect. Let's make it more randomly. I got the idea. Assigning a different randoms to each node. Now we get mysterious granular texture. Okay, let's make another patterns. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy it and could get something good for you.
Nice textures. Ooh.
Ha. Already sounds massive.
Very atmospheric.
It's very like Silent Hill-esque. It's pretty cool.
It's like my whole system is on alert mode.
Yeah, it's very creepy.
Whoa.
Ooh, very dark industrial stuff.
Definitely more experimental, but I love it.
Of course, has to include the source sample, which, you know,
And another very nice ending.
gives off a lot of interesting and unsettling sounds already. It's almost like the thing of like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah, that was sick. That was sick. What's up, YouTube? My name is Dash Glitch, and this is my take on the 4 producers, 1 sample Bitwig edition. So I think the first thing that I usually go for when doing this kind of thing is the sampler. So let's set this over to cycles mode. And now it's basically become a wavetable synth. We want to freeze it, and then this becomes like the wavetable position, right? Okay, that sounds good. Let's pitch that down. Let's add Bitwig's Filter Plus. Cool, okay, so that's a nice kind of subby bass. So let's make another one, maybe something more like a pluck or a lead or something like that. Let's drop this into the sampler. I actually have some MIDI that I've prepared here. Oh, that is sick. It's kind of got like a tapey vibe. Let's try find something that we can perhaps turn into like a percussion kind of sound. Okay, there's a couple of things there. What we could do is we can use one of the Bitwig spectral tools. I'm thinking transient split, and then we just isolate the transients and remove everything else, right? There's actually like a nice texture in there. In between those sounds, like here. Let's take that, and what we can do is we could put this, let's just normalize it a few times. Let's maybe try apply the transient split again. Yes. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Let's bounce this. Now we can delete this one. Let's normalize it again. Bounce in place. Cool. Really just extracting the molecules of that sound. Okay, so now let's open up another sampler. Let's drop that in the sampler. And then here, let's set this to textures mode. So now it's like a granular synth, right? And then we freeze it. Yo, that is sick. Okay, what I want to do here is set a random and set this to smooth mode and just get it to randomize this. And the grain size a little bit as well. Let's get back to that percussion sound we were making. What I like to do is use the slice in place. And then we can actually just set it to something like that. Okay, good enough. That's like this one. We can actually go like this, select them all. Set the fades to 0. Cool. Give them a bit of fade out. And now let's bounce in place these. And then let's create a drum machine. And then we can just pop these in here. Slice raw. We can also create some kind of variation of these, like using Bitwig's blur device. Okay, let's drop these into the drum machine as well. Now we've got a couple of variations we can use as drum hits. Cool, let's make something more pad-like. So I'm just going to duplicate the same patch, and we can jump in here and edit the actual parameters themselves. We can maybe run this around, like the loop points, to try find a new sort of timbre. But the main things I want to focus in on is like the modulation of this filter. And the modulation of this formant, we can make it much slower. Okay, so for a kick drum, what we can do is we can use something like the harmonic split to solo out just a very, very low fundamental from a sample. So you just get that like rumble. And for this kind of thing, I actually like to bounce it out, because then we can kind of like analyze the resulting sample and look for a kind of nice looking sine-ish wave, something like that. And then we can kind of just cut that part out and throw that into the sampler and use that as like a wavetable, right? Cool, that's sounding pretty good. Let's add in some modulations. Let's set a very sharp envelope for the pitch. Turn smoothing off. Okay, so with the snares, I ended up getting a little bit more complicated. As you can see, it's like frequency shifter, wave shaper, frequency shifter, this weird resonator bank, which is basically just 4 delays that kind of cross-modulate each other to kind of simulate springs of a snare drum, right? And then EQ, dynamics, another EQ. Let's mute all these things, and I'll just show you one by one what each of the processes is doing. What I'm going to do is just render out this whole sort of melodic group. We're going to chuck that into a sampler in granular mode and just kind of create sort of glitchy textures this way. And then here with the randoms, we can put a random on the position, because then it's going to force a bunch of different voices even at the same note, right?
Whoa.
Okay. Okay.
Nice mood.
Sounds beautiful.
This reminds me of the Tunic soundtrack so much.
Ooh.
I like this reverb. So spacious and
Man, this This is dope.
I don't know what's happened next.
I don't know what to say.
I'm on board now.
This music makes me feel thrilling.
Cool.
Oh, that's cool.
I was about to say something, but love the different sounds, how everything comes together.
Yeah, those textures in there, they're so wet and just like squishy. That's really nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was sick.
Excellent sound design, Jeff.
It's a unique collaboration between nostalgic melody with edgy, cutting sounds.
So I think something with that one, I'm not sure how much he utilized the texture with, apart from, I'm pretty sure that the percussion that he used towards the end of the track was there. Even still, it was really cool to see what somebody could do just with a single sample.
So I wanted to start with the thing that I thought that was going to be the most difficult, and that's the drums. So I took a small part that sounded like this. Now this was a stereo sample, and for some sounds I wanted to keep it in mono, so I used a tool. Then I used the transient split, so I could EQ the transients and the tones differently. As you can see on the transients, I went crazy with the EQ. I just wanted the low end and the high end. And then as you can see, I ended up using another EQ to boost even more of the low end and even more of the high end. For the snare, I chose another section of the sample that I knew that I could process to sound like a snare. So then I started using EQ, the loud split, which is actually transforming the sound into a click. This tool is for the volume, and then again I went crazy with EQ depending on which resonances I wanted. For the bass, to keep it a little bit more stable, I actually bounced the sample into mono, and then I used it on the sampler. Now it could have been easier to use the cycles mode, but I used it on pitch. Then I set the loop to be very short, so it became audio rate. Now, I felt that the original sample wasn't shining, so I ended up using a large section of it and then processed it to be a little bit more glitchy maybe. Just take a listen. The magic is happening thanks to this modulation on the tool again. Now I wanted to use the same sample for another type of transition sound, and actually I made something similar but used a bit crusher. This time I'm automating the bit crusher and also a filter. So that's the foundation. It's pretty boring, and that's because I needed a melody. For that I used an arpeggiator, and now I use the cycles mode on the sampler. Now this other sample is like a response for the transition. To begin, what I did was to go 36 semitones on the pitch on the stretch mode. Then I start experimenting with this EQ. The tool was to fool around with the panning and the volume. Sounds almost like a monkey in the jungle. So that's the first section. Then I wanted to go crazy with a glitchy transition. I used this part of the sample. Let me mute everything. Which then I use the rasp filter to add a little bit of an effect. With the low split, I mute the mids, giving a more spectral kind of vibe. And then maybe you can call this cheating, I don't know. because this is a patch I made for another video for a long time ago. And it's basically something like Infiltrator on the grid. As you can see, I have a filter, a chorus, a decimator, distortion, reverb, delay, and pitch shifter. That brings me to the second section. I have other type of sounds. For instance, I'm using this bass. And I wanted to add another layer to the bass, but that doesn't play all the time with the bass. It's just different chops of the sample. Let me turn everything off so you can hear the original sound. And I'm doing one of the simplest things to create weird sounds. That's to mute or lower the volume of 2 or 3 bands. Then a bit crusher with a lot of modulation. DQ, again, more random modulation. I went completely random with these parts. I just wanted something weird. And a parallel vocoder. And of course a multiband compressor, so I could bring everything up, especially the high end. I was looking a crash for this section. I could just use noise, but I wanted a crash. So we have frequency modulation or pitch modulation at audio rate, giving us a weirder metallic sound. Finally, we have other chords for the last part. Let's hear a before and after, just for the sake of it. As you can hear, the original sound was very different. Then the EQ to take away the low end, the bit crusher to make it more lo-fi, to decimate it, and then the delay and reverb, and the result is this. Of course, everything sounds better when you process a bit of the master track, and here's my song.
Nice turning.
I'm guessing that he made the drums with the sample, and I really like the texture.
Really cool sound space. Very, very good mix.
Exciting synth riffs and
Reminds me of like Conic CD or something.
it feels like spaceship is flowing, so reminding me the space shooting game.
Yeah, this is cool.
I dig it. Very old school, but very new school at the same time.
Oh, nice grid. I like it.
Interesting.
I really like this flying cosmic sound.
That was sick. I totally wasn't expecting that glitchy drop at the end there. That was really, really cool.
If he pulled this off and made all of this stuff, the instruments and all that out of the sample as well, then I'd be pretty impressed.
I think you are the leader of our spaceship, Alex.
So, which one was your favorite? Let us know in the comments down below. Of course, I gotta say thank you so much to Yuri, Alckemy, and Dash. It was very kind of you to be able to participate on this. In the description of the video you can find each of their channels, so go ahead and subscribe to them if you haven't already. Also subscribe to my channel. It took a lot of time and effort to make this video and I really enjoyed the process. Thank you again to everyone, and thanks to you for watching. I will see you next time, and bye bye!